share my screen. People can miss this section of it. And I don't want to make you guys wait too long. Okay, so we are November 19th, you guys. We are in the third week of November. We have about a week and a half left in the month, which is insane. And about a little over a month left in 2019. This is when I've had conversations with many of you guys. What you're doing right now is going to pay off in 2020. Okay, so we have to know that if we want to have a different 2020 that we had in 2019, we have to start showing up now, you guys, okay? So what you're doing right now is gonna pay off, even if you're not seeing that quick result right now. We're not in the kind of business that, you know, you can show up for 2 or 3 days and invite 5 people and have all of them say yes. That's not the way this business is built, okay? This business truly is a business of compounded efforts. And you have to show up for 60 to 90 days when you're trying to, you know, start seeing results change in your business before you're going to see those results. So make sure that you are really taking the time right now to show up and put in the effort. I know that people are not as committed at this point in the year, okay, in their business and their fitness, everything. Make that different for you. You have the decision to make that you're going to get serious about your business as well as your results. This is the time when people are looking at what you're doing. They might not be ready to fully jump in and work with you, but they're going to be in 2 months, you guys. In 2 months, we're going to blink and it's going to be January. So what you're doing right now is so, so important. Okay, so before I go through and announce, you know, our top recruiters as well as Success Club earners and all that kind of jazz, a couple things that I want to point out. First thing, we are going to be moving into our second month of the Doers Club. The month of November, we had Ashley McClellan. She had an amazing training that she did, an exclusive training in our Doers Club that was all about, you know, kind of getting your ish together and having a gut check. Such a good training. And then for December, we're going to have Kate Schultes. She's one of my favorite coaches, and she's going to come in there and share with us how to build your business through tough times, whether it be the holiday season or maybe you have something personally going on that you know this business can help you get past, but you don't know how to exactly do that. She's going to be able to share those tips with you since she's been going through some personal things as well, but still crushing it in her business. And so make sure that for the Doers Club, you guys, you have to hit Success Club 5 or higher in the month of November to be in there. So if you're currently in there, you still need to hit it in November to stay in there. If you unfortunately didn't hit it in October and you're trying to get in there for December, you have to hit it in November, okay? November 30th, Success Club 5 or higher gets you into the Doers Club. And then to stay in that group, you have to continue to hit Success Club 5 or higher month to month, okay? The second thing, you guys, is that I did a training, a live in my, here's someone unmuted. Okay, I did a live today that was giving you tips on how to finish November strong. Guys, it's been a rough month for me, mentally, personally, emotionally, everything. I'm very sleep deprived from my baby, and I was having a rough month, and I went through and shared with you guys what I'm doing in order to finish this month strong. And you better believe it, I'm going to help another 8 people get started on their journey by the end of November. I'm very confident in that, not because I've done it before, but because I'm breathing that life into my business as well as putting it out there, as well as doing the action. So make sure you go check out my live from today, as well as the one that I did last week. I had quite a few people come to me after my live Q&A on last Wednesday and say, oh my God, like I loved that you broke down hobby versus full-time coach. That's exactly what I needed to hear. It's things that, you know, are tough to hear at points because I want to be a full-time coach. So hearing you break it down like that was exactly what I needed. Go watch it, you guys, okay? I go live in our Team New and Improved and 14 Food Addicted a few times a week just to give you guys, you know, things that I'm working through and things that are working for me and so forth. Tomorrow we have another live Q&A, and I will be sharing some changes that are going on Instagram, so make sure that you go and hop on that. That'll be, as long as my technology works, it'll be 12 p.m. EST, okay? Someone's unmuted. Okay, last thing, you guys. Diamond Prep Group, okay? There's a Diamond Prep Group happening. Let me see who's unmuted. Are we good? Okay. There is a Diamond Prep group that is starting December 2nd. So what is the Diamond Prep group? It's for anyone who is an active Emerald or higher. So 2 personally sponsored coaches or more. And you're all active, okay, as of November 30th. Now, here's the thing, you guys. I am going to be a stickler in there, okay? Like, you guys see me as loving Meg, all this stuff. I'm going to be strict in there. I want to help you guys move your business forward, okay? And there's things that have to happen in order to help you do that, which number one is accountability. So if you are not ready for that level of accountability and you're like, I kind of don't want Diamond, I kind of do, it sounds cool, this might not be the right group for you. But if you're someone who's like, you know what, I want to move from a hobby to a full-time coach, I want to make this business work, I want to be a Diamond coach, I want to, you know, truly show up and push to Diamond and pass that in 2020, this group is going to be for you, because I'm going to be a stickler about turning in your accountability tracker. I'm going to be a stickler about you holding your rank and so forth, and making sure that I'm helping you guys build your businesses solid with growing your network, making sure that we're building relationships the right way, and truly building your business the right way. Okay, so it's going to be a really fun group. November 30th. I don't know if fun's the best term. It's going to be a good group to move your business forward, okay? I think that's it, you guys. Now let's go through and recognize some ladies who are crushing it this month. Our top Success Club earners, we got Brandy at SC14, Nikki and Britt at SC10, Corey at 8, Gabriella at 8, which I think between business centers, she's at like 12 now. Girlfriend is on fire. And then Christy K, which is now an M, at SC8. We also got Megan Thomas, who is, you guys, on fire. Girlfriend is like, I think 2 or 3 coaches away from 3-star qualifying, which is amazing. She hit 2-star, you know, a couple months ago in our on our team, and is about to hit 3-star diamond, which is amazing. Gabriella, who is going to be diamond officially as of Thursday morning. Nikki Flores had 2 coaches. Corey has 2. Corey, Missa, Alicia, myself, Christy, and Carrie have 1 coach. I know some of you guys commented below, I think, a post that I put up yesterday, and you're like, I have 2 coaches. You guys have to vote on that poll, okay? Make sure you vote on the poll. It's in the announcement every Thursday. That's where we get these numbers off of. I don't go in the back office and look through, you know, who's signing what, because I know some people have, you know, you're building business centers with your spouses, and I don't see those coach signups, okay? So you have to make sure that you are voting on that poll if you want to be recognized, okay? All right, so that is pretty much it, you guys. I want to make sure that I don't take up too much of your guys' time, but I'm excited to have Allison speak to our team tonight. You guys, she's going to be talking about systems, okay? And making sure that she's so organized. She was my past assistant, you guys. Recently switched over because she's a full-time coach now, but she saved me so much. When you see me being organized, it's because of Allison, because she was able to help me get some systems in place. Allison is a 1-star diamond coach. They've hit team builder as a team on the road to elite. You have to tell me how many months in a row that you guys have hit Success Club, but also she is the leader of Team Balanced and Free. And I'm excited to be able to hear from her tips on being organized as well. So Allison, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. I actually put together a PowerPoint because I figured it would be easier and just better to look at. So let me know if you can't see it or you can't hear it. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this is not only about just systems, but it's about creating habits and systems that work together to really just like take your business to the next level and make sure you're doing all the things you need to be doing every single day, every week, every month. I will say, like, I'm not an expert on this topic, but this just kind of came from me realizing that I was like missing things. I was following the Success Club tracker, but there are things on there that you have to do that like they're not on there. So that came, like, this this process kind of came from where I was struggling, like where I was recognizing things falling through the cracks, where I needed help. So I'm just going to share with you guys what worked for me, and I hope that it can help you too. I am a very organized person, so this is all like list based. This is like a to-do list, like a weekly to-do list, monthly to-do list, but hopefully you can take at least little pieces and apply it to your business. So let's talk about habits first of all. If you guys have read Atomic Habits, that's where this quote comes from, okay? It's a behavior that's been repeated enough times to be automatic. So most of the things in our business are automatic. Most of us are all at levels where we're doing those vitals every single day. Like we don't have to think about it as much as we did when we were a brand new coach. But there's other things that need to be at that level where we don't go like, oh crap, yeah, like when did I do that last? Or when should I do that next? We need to make things automatic, efficient, productive, and just keep the ball rolling. Like I said, this came from me like realizing that I was missing things in my own business, or even just like watching coaches and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And I did that like one time, but I haven't done it since then. So it was really just putting those things in place so that I didn't have to think about it. Like that sounds bad, but that's really what this is all about. Like we want it to be a habit because we want to be successful. So this concept is based off of the first law of habits. So like I said, if you haven't read Atomic Habits, go back and read it. That's kind of when I started developing this, and I think it was like a little bit after Summit, and I just continued to revamp my habits and my systems to become even more efficient and productive. So what we're going to be doing is attaching habits to days of the week or other tasks, because that makes it obvious, right? It's kind of like when you wake up, you brush your teeth. Brushing your teeth is attached to waking up, or maybe you drink Energize first. That's what I do. Like as soon as I wake up, bathroom, Energize, back to bed or back to couch for my miracle morning. It is just habit. I don't think about it anymore. So we are attaching things in our business to other tasks or days of the week to make it more obvious. So let's talk about the different habits and actions that can actually turn into like this systematic approach. So obviously there's the 4 vital behaviors. You know what they are. I'm not going to explain them to you, but I want you to think about when you're performing them, because I think everybody is different. I've tried it a couple different ways, and I've tried doing it at different times in the day, and I've really just kind of honed in when it works for me. So think about when you're going to be doing your vitals. Is it in the morning before work? Is it in the afternoon during lunch? Is it when you get home before you go to bed? Can you attach them to other tasks so that you do them systematically? Also thinking about how you're supporting your team and your clients. When are you making yourself available to answer questions or check in with them? I kind of like had to put this on my to-do list because I was really realizing that either it wasn't happening like consistently, like I would check in with my workouts, but I was forgetting to go back and check in with everybody else in there, or I was spending way too much time doing it and getting distracted and going down this rabbit hole of different things. So I started creating systems around these topics, which I think we all need to do, especially in this phase in our business. Social media should definitely be a habit that you get into. Like if you're winging it, you're not being intentional and you're not making the most of it. So I'll dive into that a little bit more, but start thinking about that. Are you planning your content? Do you take time to do that? Are you getting pictures ready ahead of time so that you don't have to do it when you're at work or when you're like on the go and super busy? And that lastly, I want you guys to think about extra business activities. So these are the things that are not on the tracker that you should be doing. You should be checking your back office like a couple times a week, or if you're pushing for a rank, check that thing every single day. If you send, like these are just a couple examples, if you send like weekly meal plans to your clients or customers, like when are you doing that? Are you keeping track of your story highlights? That was like, for me, I was like, oh, I haven't added to those in a while. I should probably like figure out a way to do that more consistently, because the last one was from 50 something weeks ago. So think about those like extra tasks that aren't on the tracker. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to dive into each of these topics just a little bit at a time. So let's talk about the 4 vitals first. Get yourself into a routine with this. This is like the basics. It's the bread and butter. It's the foundation of our business. But you have to find a way that works for you. Are you going to do every single activity every day for a shorter period of time? Or do you want to take massive action on certain tasks and attach them to different days of the week? So for example, when I was like working with Meg, or when I was working outside of my house, I had a really hard time doing everything every day. And I constantly felt overwhelmed. I constantly felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I switched to doing certain tasks on certain days. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that was all about inviting and following up. If I didn't get to connections, I was like, doesn't matter because I'm doing it on Tuesday and Thursday. So think about that. If that is a better approach for you, try it out and see how it works. I've gone back to doing a little bit each day because now I can like mentally handle that. And it's just all about doing it in a way that feels good to you, obviously, as long as you're doing them. Okay, so let's talk about the team client support. Like I said, this really came from me. I get distracted very easily. Even if I have a to-do list, even if I'm like working from a planner, I would go to my team page with the intention of posting, and then I would be like, oh yeah, but I want to create this for them and schedule it for later in the week, and then I want to create something for them for later this month. And it was all stuff that did not matter at that time, but I was getting sucked into all of these tasks that I created for myself, but really they didn't need to be done that day. What needed to be done that day was my business action. So I started setting a timer. I said, okay, 30 minutes. That's what they're going to get from me because my team is not ginormous yet. They don't need that much time from me right now. So I take 30 minutes during my business time. I go do a post in our team page. I answer any questions that they have, and I check into the different threads that I have going with them. And now I do the same thing with my challenge groups. I'm still playing around with like timing of these and when I want to fit them into my day. But having that timer system and just like knowing, okay, I have this timer. This is the time that they get me 100%. Like it helps you be more focused on them, but it also helps you with that race against the clock. Like you're not just dilly-dallying, like you're being very intentional. I also think that this like helps you be more focused on staying in phase one and not in your inbox all the time. I don't know if you guys are like me. I'm type A. I don't like notifications on my phone. If there's messages, I look at them. Like I had to turn all the notifications off just because those numbers and like a little red box saying you have a message would bug the crap out of me. And I felt like I was always attached to my phone. I felt like I was always in my inbox. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I need to set personal boundaries. That was a struggle of mine. And they're going to get those questions answered the next time I have this time set aside for them, whether it be later that day or the next day. And now my team is very respectful of that. Okay, social media. Like I said, if you're winging it, like you're not taking advantage of it, honestly. There's so much out there about social media, and this can be an entire topic in and of itself, but you have to keep in mind that social media is your storefront. Your business depends on what you post and what you share. So why not be intentional about it? You think about going shopping and going into a store. Do you think things just look like that all the time? No, like their customer or their employees are constantly fixing things so that things are folded perfectly. They're going in at nighttime to set up new displays so their mannequins have the hottest new outfit. You know what I mean? Like they're taking time to set that up in a way that draws us in, like in a way that's visually appealing. So I would suggest setting aside time each week to plan that and take time to edit your pictures if that's something that you're doing at this point in your business, or creating graphics. This was like another thing that I don't want to say I would get sucked into it, but it would take me longer than I expected. And then I'd be like, well, I got that done, but I didn't get like XYZ done today. So I started taking time on Sundays. That's my day to plan things. And I started doing it ahead of time because I felt more prepared. I felt more organized. And then I wasn't just posting to post. There was more intentionality between what I was actually saying to people. And it gave me time to come up with value that my audience and my dream client and my dream team that they need. Okay, so those extra business activities, like what are the things that you need to do aren't on the tracker? This can be like honestly anything. Like when I show you guys my list, you're gonna be like, wow, she has that on her to-do list. But really like this just came from me recognizing like, I'd be like, oh crap, I wanna do that. And then I wouldn't do it because I would forget, or I would do it one time and then I wouldn't do it again. So just think about where you're maybe falling short in your business or where you could improve on, and start making those intentional habits on your to-do list each day. So let's talk about the frequency of habits. I'm like all about to-do lists. Like there's lists all over my house. I just made us a chore list. So that's just like my personality. If you use a planner, like you can make a list in that planner. I type everything out on Word because I like to highlight it and like visually see that things are done. So obviously you have your daily habits. So what vitals are you doing each day if you're breaking them up throughout the week? How much time are you spending in your inbox? How much time are you spending checking into your team page and your challenge groups? That's like what you should be doing every single day without a doubt. What are your weekly habits? What are things that need to be done in your business that don't necessarily need to be done every day? For me, that's like recognition. I'm doing like pretty much the same stuff that Meg is doing each week. Are you showing like the process of your challenge group? That got added to my to-do list because I would realize I wasn't showing that at all. I would recognize my challengers and share results, but I wasn't showing them like an inside look at things. So I started adding that to my list. Like I just do a quick screen record, I scroll through and I pop it on my stories. Like I said, the Instagram story highlights. Are you updating those? So that's like one of the things on my list because I realized it wasn't getting done. And they might not be the most like business driven piece of my social media, but it's still a way for people to get to know me and follow my story if they want to. And then checking your online office, that could be a daily thing if you are going for rank, but then also content planning. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna try to continue, but I do not know what is going on. So I will share my daily habits with you guys. Sorry about this. I'm really glad this is our team and like not somebody else's team because I would be super embarrassed. Um, but these are all pretty much things that are on the Success Club tracker. They're things that you should be doing every day, but you'll see that I've added a couple things that I do daily to grow my business. So you'll notice like on the tracker, like there is a point where it says like answer questions from your clients and answer questions from your coaches, but we don't talk about answering messages from the people that we're just talking to, right? Like the people that we're building relationships with. So my inbox was always at the bottom of my to-do list because it just wasn't getting done. It wasn't on the Success Club tracker. So I'd find myself doing all the actions because I'm very like action focused and numbers focused. So I'm like, yep, I got to do invites. Yep, I got to do follow-ups. That's what produces results. But I would miss those things. So I added them to my to-do list. Obviously, invites, follow-ups. I said I do the vitals every single day now. So I do a few invites Monday through Friday. I do a few follow-ups Monday through Friday. They're not big, massive action, but it's consistent action throughout the week. I also use the follow method. So I do 100 follows each day, at least. Sometimes it's more, 200 or 300, just depending on how many times I bring my phone into the bathroom, just being honest. And the same thing with unfollows. I'm working on getting my ratio better. So I take intentional time to do the unfollows because I noticed it wasn't happening and that the number of people that I'm following was climbing higher and higher and higher. The last thing that I do every day is I spend 20 minutes engaging on the hashtag. So this is like a Kayla Ibanez thing, going and engaging on hashtags that relate to me, and I just break it up into 4 or 5 minute blocks. So I'll do 5 minutes before I start my power hour, usually 5 minutes at the end, and I break it up so I don't get flagged by Instagram just in case because I've had issues with different services and following too fast or unfollowing too fast. So these are my weekly habits. You guys are really getting like a behind the scenes into my business right now. Sometimes this changes. Like I literally just added to my to-do list when Meg was talking, vote on the poll and new and improved, like in the new and improved group, because I don't want to miss that. Okay. So I'm always adding things. I'm always taking them off. I'm always switching days, but this is what it is right now. So every Monday, that's my recognition day. I do have an assistant, so I didn't want to make it on Thursday just in case I didn't get it from her. And I didn't want it to be Friday because people don't always they're not always on their stories or on social media on the weekend. So I do it on Monday. I go ahead and share the graphics on my stories, and then I go ahead and share it in our team page. But then The other thing I do on Mondays is I have a new coach, like runners thread. It's like all of my coaches from this year. I make sure that I'm checking in with them. Obviously, if they've like sent a message, they're gonna like, I'm gonna respond back to them when I'm in my inbox time for the day, but I'm very intentional on Monday. I ask them what they need to see. I ask them what they need help with. I share like what's going on with the week or for the week with them. Okay, so Tuesday, there's another engagement strategy that I've been using on Instagram. I think it's the same one that we've all been using. I just call it this so that I know it's different from the daily stuff that I'm doing. That's a Tuesday habit. Updating my highlights is a Tuesday habit. And then checking in with my challengers who are active is a Tuesday habit. So once a month, I do go through and check in with like all of my clients, or I do my best to do that. But I had to start making it, like putting it on my to-do list to intentionally check in with the girls that signed up with me like this month, last month, the month before. It's usually like a 3-month period that I'm really like actively pursuing them and making sure that they're set up for success. Okay, I'm sorry about this, you guys. So on Wednesday, that's the day that I recognize my challengers. And this is somewhere that I was like really falling short. And I'm not even talking about like recognizing progress pictures or anything like that. I'm talking about I just like recognize them for checking in. This is something that I have my assistant do. So it's super easy. It's off my plate. She just goes in and checks on the polls that I have them vote on and puts them all on a graphic. So I get to shout them out for doing that. It's also the day that I go ahead and scroll through my challenge group and I put that on my stories. And I have her, sorry, I had to move my Zoom box over to the other side so I can see. I have her send out my weekly meal plan to her. Wednesday's the day that I give it to her, okay? Like I could probably just as easily send it out myself, but it takes me less time to give it to her to do than to do it myself. And then the last thing I do on Wednesday is I make sure that I'm checking with my new coach thread and I share my tracker with them and I also have them share their tracker. So not everyone always participates, but it's something that I'm trying to be very intentional about because it's something I want them to do. So then you'll see again on Thursday, that's when I do that other engagement strategy. I send my assistant all the pieces of recognition that I want her to do. I do any shout outs for rank advancements that I might have if they have them. And I also shout out like progress towards rank advancement. So I shout out my coaches if they get halfway to emerald or halfway to diamond. Friday is really just like, it's more of like a fun day. Like I send my assistant the stuff that I want her to share on the weekly agenda. I do an action taker piece of recognition. It's just it's based on how many invites they do. I don't even put that on the graphic. I just do it to recognize them. My team is not super high producing right now, so I would try to come up with all these crazy, ridiculous ways to recognize them. And so far it's working and they love it. So I'm just going to keep doing it. That's when I share that. And we were very intentional about pushing towards Premier and Elite this year. So I was being very intentional about sharing the Elite tracker with them. Used to be once a month, but now that it's November and December, Elite reports are updated on Friday. So I go in our team page and I share it with them so they can see that progress. And even if they aren't part of that goal, like we're not going to hit Elite this year, but they still see that. They're getting exposure to that every single week and they see me talking about it all the freaking time. Saturday, that's my day off. If Brad is like working or if there's something from the week that I didn't get to or things like projects like that I want to revamp, like new coach training or training from the week that I didn't get to watch, that's my day to do it. And I don't do any like business action. I don't really answer my inbox or anything on Saturdays because most people aren't on social media anyways. And then Sunday gets its own day because that is like my intentional day. Like that is the day that I do my best to set myself up for success for the week. And I'll be honest, it does not always happen. And when it doesn't, I'm like, oh, like I just feel in a funk. Like my week doesn't start as good. I'm not as organized. I don't feel like I'm on top of things and I just feel like I'm behind. So you don't have to make your day Sunday, but I would suggest taking a day to just set yourself up for success. I do a brain dump. Like I said, I like to make lists. I make lists all the time. I have so many things going on in my brain that I like lay up at night thinking about things. I think about posts. So like I'll just write stuff down and get everything out on a piece of paper. And that usually gets organized into like my weekly action plan. I make my schedule for the week, set my business hours, look at anything else going on, like if I have appointments or anything like with Brad or his family going on. I update Streak and MailChimp. Like I use Streak to do my follow-up. So any person that I've like sent information to, they go into my Streak pipeline if I haven't already done it. And I update MailChimp with new emails. I also do, this is like my day to do like my marketing plan and posts. I don't always write out my entire post, but I at least get like a rough outline of what I want to talk about. And when I don't do this, I literally feel like I'm like not sharing anything valuable, and I feel I'm like just not talking about the stuff that I want to talk about. So it is really helpful just to get it out on paper, or if you're like a tech person, put it on a computer and write down what you want to talk about each day. This is also like if I'm going to edit my pictures ahead of time, I do it this day. Like I do not know what's going on, but a lot of the posts that I use are from like trips that we've taken. So they're on Brad's phone or on a hard drive. So I get those all together so that I have them ready when I want to share that picture or that post. Like I said, I make my weekly action plan. For me, it's literally a Word document with like my daily, weekly, and like extra stuff typed out because I just like to highlight it. I do use Kate's planner, so I'm like checking out the business action, but I do really well with a list, like a hard copy list as well, where I can see everything in one spot. Sundays are also the days that if I have new customers or coaches, I send like a little thank you letter to them. It's just like a little personal touch that I do, and I get stressed out trying to do it during the week, so I make one day to do it. That's the day I sit down and I pull out my cute little stationery and I write them letters. I also schedule any posts for my challenge groups, and I will schedule that team recognition that I told you about. I'll schedule it on Sunday so I don't have to worry about it on Monday when I'm like really getting into the routine of working again. So those are my habits. Let's talk a little bit about systems. So when I was making this presentation for you guys, I wanted to look up the definition of a system. So what that is, a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or interconnecting network. It's an organized scheme or a method. And I just thought that that made so much sense for this business, because in order for this business to work and in order for us to be successful, there are a lot of pieces that have to come together. And I like, that just like clicked with me. So I hope it clicks with you too, because it just makes sense. Like, that's all I can really say about it. It just makes sense to have all these pieces working together so that you can see success and you can be productive and well organized and efficient. So systems are something that can be duplicated and replicated. So it's something that helps your team succeed. If you don't have a large team now, that's fine, but you will have a team someday. Like if you're on this call, that means you want to take your business to the next level. So eventually you'll want those systems in place, and I'd suggest getting them in place now so that you have them when that time comes. I also feel like having things in place just helps you be more confident when you're bringing new coaches onto your team or when you're bringing new clients on your team, because you have somewhere for them to go. You have a setup like rules or guidelines for them to follow when they get started with you. I don't want to dive too much into this just because I feel like it's like such a big topic, but obviously there's going to be different types of systems. So think about the systems that you want with your team. Do you send them a new coach email? I know Meg has an awesome like 3 email series, and that's the same one I use. I tweaked it to sound like me, but that's a system. She created that system. I duplicated it, and now I give it to my team and they get to duplicate it. So you can see how that works, like in the downline even. Like, what are you sending them? You don't have to recreate the wheel. You can take something and tweak it and make it usable for you. Do you have a new coach training platform or program? Obviously, like, we don't do the same thing that we did a couple months ago. So what are you using to onboard your new coaches? That's something on my to-do list because I got to figure that out. And I'll tell you right now, like, I don't have it 100% figured out, and I don't feel 100% confident bringing on new coaches right now because I don't know what to do with them. So like I said, having that system set up now will help you in the future and help you go about inviting and bringing people to you like more confidently. And what kind of system do you have set up for recognition? Are you doing it? It should be. Like, that's one of the vitals. So if you don't have a team to recognize or you don't have a lot of clients to recognize yet, go find some in our team page. Go find some in somebody else's challenge group. Like, there are always pictures floating around. Like, our team asks all the time, like, where, you know, like, I just saw Brittany ask, who has 21-day fixed results? Go ask what you want to promote. There are pictures for it. I guarantee it. And if you don't have like a team to recognize, like I said, shout out one of your fellow teammates. Shout out somebody on Team Fit Addicted. Like, just go love on people. That's what it's all about. It doesn't have to be about numbers and like achievements. It can just be about like telling someone they're awesome for the day. So client systems. This is kind of the same thing. Like, are you giving them a new coach or a new customer email? I can't remember what National Wake Up Call it was. It was from a week or so ago when she talked about like the 30-day system she has. She sends them an email on the first day, and then she sends them an email on day 30. That's a system. It's duplicatable. So what do you have for your new clients in place? Do you send them a welcome letter or like a welcome packet that shows them how to work through BOD? I have one of those if you need one, or I'm sure like Meg has resources too. Like, you can always ask, what system do you have to follow up with them and check in with them? Do you check in with them outside of your challenge group? Are you having conversations? Do you know what's going on in their life? Make sure you're checking in with them so they feel loved and appreciated and part of something. And then there's organizational systems, and I could honestly like talk about this for like days. Like, I'm always organizing things, and honestly I wish somebody had told me this when I first became a coach, because it took me a long time to figure this out on my own. But not so much like the team file folders. You guys know what I'm talking about with that. Like with the Team Fit Addicted resource folder, you can go create that same thing for your team if you want, or direct them to that. Like, that is a system in and of itself. But having like a hub or a place for things to be organized for your team when they need to look for something, because I can guarantee you, you do not want coaches that you have to handhold. Like, you want to be able to tell them, hey, I put that resource here. This is where it's at. And you can send it to them, but they'll get in the habit of looking for it. So make sure that you're doing that for them, and you have somewhere that you are putting the things you're sharing with them. The albums and the phone. That's what I wish somebody would have told me when I first started, because I've never had like so many pictures on my phone as I do now that I'm a coach. Like, always having pictures. And I never took the time to like organize my progress pictures by, you know, like by program. Now when we have a program launch, I create a folder for it. And I, like the last one, Morning Meltdown 100, I have a folder called that. All of my promotional stuff goes into that folder. All of my progress pictures from that folder or from that program go into that. And if I want to promote that again, or if I want to promote the work again, that has its own album too. I can easily go back and find pictures for that. I can easily go back and find pictures for any program I did. And I have just like a couple other examples. Like, I have an album for the coach hooks that I put up on my stories. I have an album for the challenge group hooks that I put up on my stories. Save that stuff and make it easier for yourself. Don't go recreate it. Like, you can continue to reuse it, because people are not going to remember that you already used it. So that's just a really good way to keep yourself organized and keep things in a place that you can find them quickly. And the last tip that I have for organizing in your business is the collections on Instagram. So I don't know if you guys know about this. I know Meg's talked about it. I think Kelsey was the one that like brought it to our attention like back in January. We were both like, oh my gosh, what is that? You can use collections on your Instagram literally for anything. I know Meg does like the client potential and coach potential album. I do the same thing. I have like a dream team album. I have a recipe album. You know, we all save Instagram recipes, and it's hard to find them sometimes. But if you create albums for them, that's going to make things easier. So I have a couple albums for my business on Instagram. It's challenge group posts to reuse, coach posts to reuse. I also have like value content to reuse. So like the recipes, I save them and I can use them again with a different picture or just down the road. And or things like I share like meal planning tips or organizational tips. I put those in a folder so I can go back and reuse those when I want to talk about them again. So that's all I have. I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing. I saw a lot of the chat, so I don't know if you guys have. I'll try to scroll. I'm going to try to scroll through here and see if I found if there's any questions.
I love that you shared the phone photo album. You guys, if you looked at my phone, I think Allison's seen it before. It's horrible. Like, I have like, you know, screenshots of like conversations that I've had with people on Instagram. Like, it's a hot mess. So I need to go through and create photo albums so that, because it's like you scroll through, right? How many of us do that where we're like, oh, I need my transformation from this program. And you're like, when did I do that? Right? Like you're like looking and you're like, oh man, that took me like 30 minutes when it could have taken me like 3 seconds. Like genius, as well as like the collections on Instagram to be able to just save like content, because you guys, you can reuse stuff. So genius. Okay, I saw Megan asked, how did your systems change when you were still working full-time? Did you just focus on certain vitals daily, or were there specific tasks you did on specific days?
So it has been a long time since I actually worked full-time outside of the house. Even before I was Meg's assistant and working full-time from home, I was only working part-time. So when I was working full-time, I was working full-time, and I had a job at night, and I had a job on the weekend. So honestly, I didn't have systems, okay? Like I was using the Power of 3 tracker at that time. That's when it was like a thing. And I felt like I was always missing stuff. And I think because I have more time now, that's when I was like, ooh, I need to get, like, I think people think like when you become a full-time coach, like you have all this time, but really you just take more time to do things. Like I've heard that. I'm like, it's not going to happen to me, but it does. Like it does. So I needed to get to a place where I was like, I just need to get organized. Like, and naturally I feel better with myself. Like I'm I'm a happy person when I'm organized. But honestly, like I think it would be good to get in the system when you were working full time, like if you have a job outside the house. Like I said, when I was doing stuff for Meg, that is when I broke up the vitals, because I felt like either I was working all day or it was just too much and I wasn't getting to like the extra things or like my weekly things. So I did Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were invites and follow-ups, and then Tuesday and Thursday were more focused on connections. Because like I told you guys, I'm a numbers person. I do not have any problem sending out invites and follow-ups. I do not. But I do have a problem connecting with people because I have an issue sitting still. And that to me doesn't feel like I'm working. Like I feel like I'm like jerking around on Instagram. So I had to put those things on a list that like you guys can see. Like this will drive me nuts all week because I sit there and I highlight them so I can see the things that I didn't get done. And I can be like, okay, so yesterday, for example, I didn't spend as much time engaging. So that was the first thing I did today. Or things like I didn't send Meg my diamond model yet. That's still on my list for this week. So it just moves to the next day if I don't get it done. But yeah, I had to get organized because I felt like even though I had more time, I wasn't being super efficient. Like, I think it's easier to be efficient and productive when you have less time.
For sure. And yeah, Megan, like working full time, pick those days. Even if you guys are not working full time and, you know, you've got a chaotic lifestyle, like so much going on, pick like, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like Allison said, to do massive invites and follow-ups, and the other days to do adding to your network and connecting, because you can still get a lot done on those days. It's more about the quantity and actually it's about quality, right? I don't know. You guys, you get what I'm saying. No, but it's like just being, you know, more organized. I love that, Allison.
I will say too, I should have said this before I even started. You have to like put your tasks on the day that work for you. Mm-hmm. Like I even think about this, like I told you guys, I created a tour calendar for us today. I was like, our house is not always clean like I need it to be, but I look at the days that I have things going on. So like my Mondays, like even in my business, Mondays, I wake up and I'm like, yes, it's a new week. I'm so excited to work. Like I just feel good on Mondays. So I pack a lot more on Mondays. Fridays, not so much. It's almost the weekend. And like, I just don't do as much those days. Like I like having a little more freedom, or sometimes we sleep in. So it really like you need to make your actions, vitals or extra, fit your schedule and fit your day. And I will say too, like when I was working part-time before I became Meg's assistant, I did do that, like I guess without realizing it. Like I would do more on the days that I had more time because my hours were really weird. And then I would do less on the days that I worked 10 hours at a time. Like that's just how it was. And it naturally kind of happened that way. But I think giving yourself that grace to not have to do every single thing every single day, like that was honestly the hardest part for me, because I'm like if you're like an Enneagram person, I'm a type 1, so I'm a perfectionist. So I had a hard time like being like, well, I just didn't get everything done today. But as soon as I gave myself the okay to not do everything and like split it up throughout the week, I felt a lot better about that too.
Yeah, and you can even, I forget who said this, but it takes us a certain amount of time to switch from one task to another task. Have you guys noticed that? Like if you're like inviting, it's like you're in the flow, right? And then you're like, oh wait, okay, I probably could keep inviting, but I have to follow up. And then you switch and it's like, you gotta like refocus and get your mindset in. And then you're like, okay, follow up. But how much time did you like kind of mess around between the invite and following up, right? As opposed to just sitting down and saying, you know what, I'm going to just invite till my heart's desire. Right? Like, I'm just going to keep inviting people right now. And then you go back and you're like, oh, I invited 30 people, right? Like, that took me not as long as I thought it was going to. And then the next day, I'll do follow-ups. So I'll do a crazy amount of follow-ups. Like, it just takes us so much time to switch from one task to another that I could be saving you so much time. So I love that. But you got to figure out what works best for your personality. Like if you're someone who likes to do a little bit, because you're like, you want to make sure that you feel like you're doing something to move forward and you're in a flow, don't like switch to massive action days unless it's going to help you. Anything else, Allison?
Did you guys have any questions? I'm like embarrassed that my throat was tickling. Bradley, he was looking at on the couch. He's like, what's going on?
Oh, we don't care. We don't care. Let's see. I think everyone was just like, these are great tips. Like I have notes where I'm like, okay, yes, I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to do that, So I love learning from you guys. So I think you did a great job, Allison, really thorough. Guys, Allison, if you can share your slides in the team group, that would be really helpful for people, I think. Thanks for hopping on, you guys. I'm going to, if you can share your faces, I'm going to screenshot a picture and put it in the team group. Let's see.
I feel like mine's all red.
You guys ready to share your faces? Like, hello. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I see Michaela. I think Jenny and Janessa and Gabrielle are like, no, I'm not doing it. 1, 2, 3. I love the dog, Christy. Hi, cutie pie, baby. All right, guys, thank you so much for hopping on.